The theme of this year's conference at Council on Tall Buildings and Urban Habitat is mega cities, which China probably has the most experience with and will continue to for some time as regions like the Pearl River Delta continue to grow from one city to the next rapidly. I wonder, as an architect, what you think the main challenges are for Asian megacities as they grow and develop.
I mean, when the building and architecture getting too big, well, the human scale is still the same. You have to deal with the human. You have to, because that's all about the architecture and the city. And the scale of the project, no matter how big, you have to deal with the human. Not only the function, the space, but also emotional feelings, like how people feel about the space they're living in. They don't want to be disconnected with the environment we're building. So I think even I think nothing to do with the speed. I mean, no matter you build a small building or large building, you have to think about the cultural context. That's the main discussion we had this morning. I think the modern design, modern urban development has to think about nature, environment, and human in a very contextual way. What's their history? What's their culture?
How should modern buildings, or contemporary buildings rather, incorporate context? I mean, you hear a lot of calls for vernacular architecture, but that might not get at the kind of innovative forms, for example, that your firm is interested in exploring.
This morning there was a debate. Actually, that debate exists in our industry. Some people think modern architecture should go abstract. It's more about the factors, technology factor, energy factor, material. But the other point of view is talking about historical, beautiful architecture. That people think, in China we lost the tradition, we lost the old buildings. Now we're building new buildings. But for me, I think that's a really argument that nonsense. I think they're talking about two different things. Where we building the new things, we should preserve the old thing. But how we build the new things has to come from some philosophy. I mean, what I talked about this morning was even what we're doing now is contextual. It's from Chicago, it's from New York, it's from modern period philosophy. At that moment, people think, architecture, the high-rise is a great achievement by human beings. So stronger, taller, that kind of value still exists now. But in the traditional, in another culture, for example, traditional Eastern culture, people would think the beautiful environment is a priority. If we build anything, we have to take that into account. So experience, the beautiful nature, the sunshine, we don't compromise. So what if when we build a high-rise building, when we build this modern, even futuristic cities, we still consider this. We still consider the emotional factor of human being. I think that will shape a new future. I don't think I'm not talking about to make a high-rise look like a traditional architecture, but more invisible values that behind architecture. I think that's important.
What do you make of the Chinese government prescription against, quote, oversized, xenocentric, and weird architecture, while promoting, quote, suitable, economic, green, and pleasing to the eye architecture? Is this actually followed? How are you supposed to interpret that government directive on a certain kind of design? And what's your opinion on that?
I agree with that.
Really?
I think there are many weird architecture for me.
What is weird architecture to you?
I mean, I see, for example, a lot of a government building. They look like a White House. It's so weird. It's not contextual. It's from nowhere. You have some big wine bottle building or something look like a so strange sculpture in the middle of nowhere. I think that's strange. I think when we criticizing that, we have to also realize that people demanding new creative architecture, because people complain all the city looks same. When you look at the architecture of housing, apartments around China, they're all similar, and people hate it. People, I don't have a choice. I live the same way the other people live. And they shape the city. Those big residential development, and people are waiting for new architecture, new housing. I don't think the weird architecture, it's a sign to block the creativity. In fact, that not only my understanding. In my practice, I haven't met any problem. Actually, we're still building some very new architecture, contemporary designs in not only many part of the China, but also in Beijing, in the city center. And we're still get the invitation from government to do some new project there. I think they're looking for the solution. So I think cultural identity is a key. When you are looking for future, you have to know where you come from. I think that's a request for all the architects. If you want to understand here and want to work here.